Good morning. My name is Anne-Marie Johnson. I'm delighted to welcome you all to Bitter Grace. My thanks go out to Mayor Bowser, Deputy Mayor Falchicchio, and Chief Conti for visiting Barracks Row to discuss the benefits of shopping locally and safely this holiday season. When we opened our beautiful store in the fall of 2020, many would say it was the worst time to start and open a business. But looking back, it was the best decision we ever made. The opportunity to offer our DC community a sustainable option for clothing, as well as the ability to use fashion as a medium to unite women from all walks of life, continues to move us forward today. We believe that there needs to be more spaces that inspires us to do more and be more for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities. Each of us have incredible and unique gifts, often untapped talents that deserve to be shared in this world. During the build out of our space in the summer of 2020, we had this deep inner knowing of the importance of building and creating a safe space that fosters beauty, harmony, connectivity, and community. A space that's inviting, that reminds us that anything is possible if you believe it. Bitter Grace today represents this. A space that helps forge and build meaningful connections, that helps, empowers, and inspires each of us to follow our hearts and do what we love. We all know that local businesses are the heart and the backbone of every community. Shopping small and supporting your local businesses this holiday season can have profound changes long term. For one, it helps create opportunities for innovation and growth. For us at Bitter Grace, for example, opening our store, this location allowed us to better understand our customer needs and what our community values, which led us to creating our on-brand clothing collection, offering more sustainable, more quality, and size-inclusive options for our community.
All right.
Second, it reduces carbon footprint, which helps preserve our planet. And third, you help reinvest and circulate money back into your own local economy, enabling our local government to create initiatives for residents and local businesses the best way possible. So on behalf of Bitter Grace, we're incredibly grateful to Mayor Bowser for creating initiatives for small businesses like ours to thrive in the city. We are also grateful to be a recipient of the Robust Retail Grant from the Department of Small and Local Business Development that helps support our business needs this year. Deputy Mayor Falchicchio, along with the Department of Energy and Environment, have been incredibly supportive in our ongoing initiative to collect unwanted textiles for recycling to help reduce clothing waste and landfills. Bitter Grace will always be committed to creating more conscious consumers and to making changes, both big and small, to create change and to raise awareness of the ethical and environmental implications in the garment and textile industry. We're incredibly grateful for everyone who's been supportive, who've been part of our Bitter Grace journey from the start. We're thrilled for this holiday season to begin and to welcoming each of you into our space. And with that said, I would like to welcome Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Well, thank you for those lovely remarks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Well, let's give Anne-Marie a big round of applause. Outstanding remarks from our entrepreneur who did indeed start her business in a very tough time to start a business. I am just thrilled to be here on Barracks Row in Ward 6. I am excited to be joined by members of my public safety team, but also our economic development team to talk about how public safety goes hand in hand with our experiences in our commercial corridors across the district. So I want to acknowledge Chief Conti, give Chief Conti a big hand. I want to acknowledge Chief Donnelly, HSEMA Director Rodriguez, and also the Director of the Office of Unified Communications, Karima Holmes. Give her a big round of applause as well. Our team at Barracks Row Main Street, where's Brian? Hey, Brian, thank you for being here. I also want to acknowledge our labor partners, Lee Blackman, who is with the National Association of Government Employees. Thank you, Lee, for being here. And Deanna Forster, I think, is here. There's Deanna, who is the president of the Metro Washington Labor Council. So we are here, of course, to make sure everybody knows how we're supporting our small businesses and their big impact on how we enjoy our city. Right before we kicked off the holiday season, we opened the downtown holiday market, where we encouraged everyone to shop local and shop small, and we continue to spread that message. We have over 70,000 small businesses in D.C., and we know that this holiday season is a very important time for them. We know that our D.C. residents help us in so many ways by populating our commercial corridors, being local destinations, and hiring D.C. residents. And we want to make sure, just like Anne Marie pointed out, and I tell you, we have a lot of programs. We've invested millions and millions of dollars, and still every day I find someone who doesn't know about them. So let me just emphasize one important grant fund called the Bridge Grant. We just opened a new application round. We have $8 million of grants that we're going to make available to small and local businesses in the restaurant, entertainment, and retail sectors. We're also getting ready to open the next round of our commercial acquisition fund in January, and that's where businesses can turn their rent payments into mortgage payments, or like I say, into equity. So check that out. And finally, in January, we will open our next round of robust retail grants, which you just heard about here, that can be used to cover wages, insurance, rent, utilities, and other things. So all of this information can be found at our website at obviously.dc.com, obviously.dc.com, and you can learn about all of those funding opportunities. I also want to thank the team at MPD because they are very focused on all of our commercial corridors every day, but particularly during the holiday season. It's starting to get darker earlier in the day. People are shopping, hopefully not leaving any packages in their cars, and also being very focused on getting packages picked up from your doorsteps. But we want everybody to have a happy and enjoyable season. And I know if you're like me, you always feel good when you see our Metropolitan Police officers and cadets and recruits mingling in the community. So MPD is deploying more than 100 recruit officers and cadets from the MPD Academy to assist in business corridors across the city. And additionally, our cadets will be on foot patrol in our busiest corridors. So if you see them, I know that you will say hello. And the chief wants to say a little bit more about what we're working on. And followed by the chief's remarks, I'm going to introduce Director Karima Holmes. Chief. Yes, why not? Why not?
Sound like the mayor got a fan on the bus. Somebody screaming out they love you. I don't know who it is, but she said she love you too. All right. All right. Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Bowser. I am Robert J. Conti, the third Chief of Police here in Washington, D.C. of the Metropolitan Police Department. I want to thank you all for coming today to this deputization ceremony. Did I say deputization? I'm sorry. Well, I'm going to be swearing everybody in to help us to reduce crime here, to continue to reduce crime here in the District of Columbia. You know, right now we're looking at a 6% reduction in violent crime in our city and a 4% overall reduction in crime. Our robberies, as an example, when we go back to April, our robberies were up about 50%, and now we're just over 3% increase in robberies. So we continue to drive down violent crime here in the District of Columbia, and that does not happen alone. It doesn't happen just because of the police officers that are present in community. It happens when we all work together, and certainly when we do things to make ourselves less of a victim, like leaving things in the car. So I'm going to talk about a few holiday safety tips, talk about the deployment of our police cadet and police recruit officer resources. You know, the holiday season is one of my favorite times in D.C., not just because it's my birthday month, but you can really feel the holiday spirit throughout D.C. D.C., as the mayor often says, is open for business, and we want everyone to come out and enjoy all that the city has to offer. But we want to make sure that you are staying safe wherever you go. While you are out and about, be aware of your surroundings and stay alert. Deter pickpockets and purse snatchers by making sure you are extra careful with your purses, wallets, and especially your phones when you just kind of leave them hanging out of your pocket. Don't carry a larger amount of cash. Pay with a credit card whenever possible. I oftentimes will just use my phone for tap and pay. That's another thing that you may want to consider. And if you're out shopping, make sure you don't overburden yourself with packages in bags. We oftentimes see people carrying a rack of bags and everything is all over the place and not really paying attention, and you kind of make yourself susceptible to being pickpocketed. And remember to keep those packages and shopping bags out of sight, out of mind when you put them in your vehicle. So just think about it. You walk out of a store, you walk to your vehicle, you open up the car, you load up the back seat, oops, I forgot something, you close it, you leave those things in there visible to other people who may not have good intentions. That could cause you some problems. The most frequent crime we see in our city is theft from auto, and that is an example of how quickly and how easily those types of things happen. It is a crime of opportunity, and the number one way to avoid it is to keep valuables out of plain view. Always take these items with you or secure them inside of the glove compartment or trunk. If you are parking for a short period of time, never leave your car running or vehicle unlocked. That is very, very, very important. Even if you have your key fob, thieves still use this as the opportunity to drive off with your car. We want you to have a safe and enjoyable time, but we need your help to stop crimes of opportunity from happening in the first place. This holiday season, we're deploying over 100 MPD cadets and recruit officers to increase our presence throughout our city. They will be highly visible throughout our busiest areas and will play a part in reducing opportunities for crime. But their main focus is to interact with community, focusing on sharing safety tips and making sure you have a safe and enjoyable time during this holiday season. The last thing I want to add, MPD cannot do this alone. Staying safe is the responsibility of everyone, and this is where your deputization comes into play. The police department, businesses, the community, and our public safety partners. If you see a crime in progress, call 911. Our partners at the Office of Unified Communications play a critical role in helping keep our community safe. When there's an emergency, the men and women of OUC are there to answer the call. I have been to OUC multiple times and can tell you personally that we have some of the best call takers and dispatchers in the country. Give them a round of applause. They are unsung heroes in our public safety cluster. When I think about things that we responded to, like January the 6th, as an example, there were dispatchers on the other end of police officers calls for help going across the police radio. When I think about the tragic situation with the active shooter up at Edmund Burke School on Van Ness Street, there were police dispatchers on the other side of those calls, making sure that they were directing resources going back and forth. So they are our unsung heroes. They're under incredible pressure to help callers while also simultaneously making sure our officers have enough information to properly respond to whatever emergency is happening in Washington, D.C. That partnership is vital, and the leadership at OUC is critical to the overall public safety in the District of Columbia. And with that, I will turn it over to the director of OUC, Karima Holmes.
Thank you, Chief. So first, I would like to thank Mayor Bowser and my partners, my brothers in public safety, Chief Conti, Chief Donnelly from FEMS, and also Director Rodriguez. Thank you, guys. We do work together a lot. I also want to thank the cadets here today. You guys are embarking on a very rewarding career. I started in 911 at your age, close to. You guys look like babies to me, but I was about 19 years old, so you guys are definitely making a great career choice. But what I'm going to talk about today is if you do have to call 911, if you follow the chief's rules, we're hoping that you don't have to engage with our department, but I do want to talk about calling 911 in the district. There are 3 numbers that you want to remember here in the district: 911, 311, and 988. We want to make sure that you're alert to your surroundings when you call 911. Make sure you speak slowly. And one of the things I always like people to remember is when you're giving information to the call takers, when they're asking all those questions, that does not hinder the response. We are simultaneously dispatching these guys out to help you. We have smart enough technology that as you're giving us information, we're putting that into a system that also feeds out to our responders. Because we're responsible for not only your safety, but the safety of our responders. I also want to make sure that everyone understands that you call 911 and you're put on hold, do not hang up. We're answering calls within a minute. I know a minute seems long when you're calling 911, but if we have a large event where there's large parties involved or a lot of people involved, everyone calls 911, and that's what we want you to do. But hold, we have the technology. We will answer the call. Also, a reminder that text to 911 is available here in the district. We want you to call when you can, text if you can't. If you're ever in a situation where you can't text the 911, I think about things like our deaf and hard of hearing community, those that are in domestic violence situations. You can text 911 24/7. We have someone sitting there, and we will complete your call through a text section. Call 311. What do you call 311 for? City services, non-emergencies, you call 311, press 1. Disabled vehicles, loud music, any type of vandalism. And then 988. 988, we know in public safety during the holidays is the most heightened time we get a lot of mental health calls. It is difficult for a lot of individuals that may be going through something. A lot of us have lost loved ones, and during the holidays is when we usually think about those losses. So 988 is available across the country, and that's any time that you know someone or you yourself is involved in any type of mental health crises or suicidal thoughts. You can call 988 confidentially, and you can work with a counselor via the telephone. OUC handles about 3 million calls a year for service for 911 and 311. We're really proud of our partnership with MPD and FEMS and other district agencies to maintain public safety. I realize that our first responders behind the headsets at OUC, we're subject matter experts, but we also live here, play here, and our children go to school here. And we are the literal lifeline for residents and visitors here in the district. So for that way, I'm always looking for ways to ensure that we have everything we need to make sure you have everything you need when you're in an emergency. I'm also want to do a shameless plug here and announce that recently OUC started a training academy. And this is huge because we understand that the type of work we do, we want to have continuous training in our center. And so there's world-class training that happens in OUC, not only for our center, but also the 17 911 centers that touch DC. There are 17 other centers here that come to OUC and get training to do their job. So again, remember 911, 311, and 988. You can also visit ouc.dc.gov to learn more information about what I've said here today. And OUC will remain at the cutting edge of public safety communications. We are here for you, we are here to help, and we're here to serve you. We answer the call. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Director.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I wanna make something real clear. When I became mayor, I had the incredible opportunity to ensure that our Office of Unified Communication had all of the leadership, resource, and training that they needed. Within a couple of weeks of my being mayor, I had office hours where employees could come and chat with me. And what I learned is that our 911 call takers, our EMTs, were another group that met with me in those early weeks who were among the most stressed in the entire government. And part of the reason they were so stressed is that we hadn't hired 911 call takers in 8 years. I am proud to say that we have invested in the OUC and we have outstanding leadership at OUC. And we in our administration are very troubled that the council has not given my nominee a hearing. And that the council has indicated to reporters that they will try to block her nomination. So I want to be clear that we will be talking to our stakeholders, we will, including our labor members who are represented here, and all of the council members to ensure that we have top quality leadership at OUC in Director Karima Holmes. So with that, I'll take any questions. Questions? Okay. Yep.
Well, there are a couple. One of them is the housing situation. I understand you want to get rid of the board and start anew with, I guess, Director Donald in still in that capacity as an interim leader. Is that?
Director Donald works for the board. What we have introduced to the council, we introduced yesterday, myself and Chairman Mendelson, in close coordination with Councilmember Anita Bonds, a streamlined stabilization and reform board. So that board would include 7 members plus the CFO as ex officio, and the members of the new board were named in the legislation. I expect that the council will take that up on Tuesday.
Also, Mayor, the issue of the buses. The council yesterday had a proposal for free bus service in D.C. At the same time, the council, I guess, basically killed your free bus service on D.C.'s own buses, the circulators. Just interested in your ideas there. They suggested that you would probably support the idea of free buses in the city. And a question I have was, well, why would you have free metro buses and not free circulator buses?
Yeah, that doesn't quite make a lot of sense. But I will say this, I'm not going to get ahead of our budget process. A lot of people, we have a lot of needs in D.C., and we have a lot of needs existing in our agencies, and any new proposals for spending have to go through that process.
So you're not taking a position on the free buses at this point?
Like I said, Sam, we have a budget process, and I never get ahead of it. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Mayor. Can you explain exactly how reducing this DCHA board will satisfy HUD and the deficiencies that they mention in the report?
HUD outlined part of some of their concerns. And let me just say about the HUD report, it's largely a report that focuses on some processes and procedures that were not either compliant or up to date. And it laid out what I think are some significant issues with how the authority manages vacancy and unit conditions. So those are all things that have to have, I think, all of the government's attention, but especially the Housing Authority, which is an independent body that's responsible for those units and housing choice vouchers.
So do you think that they'll sign off on this?
Who is
HUD?
they?
HUD.
HUD doesn't need to sign off on it.
And switching gears a little bit to former Deputy Mayor Geldart, do you have any reaction to the charge being dismissed in Virginia earlier this week?
Well, I think that's good news for Chris and his family. Any other questions? Yes.
I'll take one more swing at the buses.
Okay.
Just basically, I get the budget process that we have to go through, but do you support the idea of making bus rides free for everyone in the District of Columbia?
What I want to look at, Mark, which is what I've said before on the bill that the council member has been moving through the council about free transit. Sure, free transit sounds great, but Metro is part of a compact, and we are a 1/3 payer in that compact. So if you ask me about free bus, I think, if we're going to be paying, Maryland and Virginia need to be paying. And this may be a compact issue. So that's part of my concern when I talk about the funding of Metro, because I don't think they're going to be reducing the other amounts of money that we're paying them. So we have to give that I have to give that some serious thought in the budget process.
And then if I could ask about Director Holmes, and I think we'd like to hear from the
Sure.
Director and maybe the Chiefs as well, if they all have the same support and confidence in her that you do. But yesterday, Charles Allen made it very clear that he's going to recommend, and you mentioned this, that he's going to recommend to his colleagues that they vote down on her nomination. He says he believes he has those votes that he needs to defeat her nomination. Just in the whole political scheme of this, have you counted votes? Do you believe that you have the 7 votes
Mark,
that you need?
I think you know me well enough to know that when there's something that I think that I need from the council, I'll do what it takes to make that clear to them. Now, at the end of the day, they have a process. It doesn't sound like the process in this case is being followed in its normal course, where a nominee, let me reiterate, Karima has been confirmed by the council once, that a nominee gets a hearing on her confirmation. She gets an opportunity to answer questions. She gets an opportunity to present witnesses. She gets an opportunity to hear from labor partners and employees. So the council members won't have the benefit of that information because there was no hearing. And there was no markup where it went to the committee, where those committee members know the issues or should know the issues and have an opportunity to make a recommendation to the full council. So going to the full council with a nominee, while, you could do it that way, but I nominated Karima in the spring. What's wrong with the normal process of giving this woman a hearing? It's a nationally recognized expert. And what I was especially concerned about was a tweet that I saw where a reporter said that the council member kept his promise to him. Now, I love the press, but you don't get to pick leaders in D.C. government. You get to answer questions, ask them. We're here to answer them. But a member of the council shouldn't be saying, or a reporter shouldn't be saying that I got my promise kept. He's going to try to vote her down outside of the process. Now, we all have a job to do, and the council member does too. So I'm not personally disparaging him, but this process isn't right. The treatment of Karima Holmes is not right. And I recognize if there's a drumbeat in the press, it makes it difficult for members of the council. But my job is to make sure that the men and women who work at OUC have a leader that they trust, that knows the job inside and out, from call taker to administrator. And if there are problems, can say when there are problems. You get 3 million calls? 3.5 million calls. There could be a problem in 3.5 million calls. There could be. But our job is to make sure that our systems work, can root out those problems, can make sure that we're hiring the people that we need, giving them the training that they need. But I'm not going to allow one person to beat them all up when they go to work every day to serve the people of the District of Columbia. Any other questions?
Can we hear from you? I mean, you've really faced a firestorm as the mayor painted the picture of. What's it been like for you? And then when you hear the council member yesterday saying that he's going to urge his council members in one direction and believes he has the votes, your response?
Sure. What it has been like for me is unbelievable. I have answered every question. I have every piece of document. I have investigated every call. We are very transparent. All of that is on our website. I have the backing of the industry. I have the backing of our public safety partners who I've worked with for about 7 years now, and our mayor, and also our labor union who's here today. I'm here to help. I think I live here. I came here from another state, and I fell in love with D.C. I know what I'm doing. I have the credentials. I am actually asked across this country to help other 911 directors run their center. And it's absolutely embarrassing that in my own hometown that is not seen correctly for some external forces.
The criticism, I mean, you know, you acknowledge there have been mistakes made under your watch and under the previous director's watch. Do you believe that criticism is unfair?
I think that criticism is with the wrong intent. I think that there are mistakes. There are mistakes at OUC before I got there, while I was here, but the first time. We have less mistakes. We make less. We make changes. But I do think that the criticism is unfair, is taken by one piece of information from one person or one group of people. And I have information in our center from the entire call from A to Z. And so I'm able to actually give a narrative that is the truth, but unfortunately is drowned out by lies or other information that's in social media. And that's really hard for a government who's trying to do right to follow that, because by the time I come around chasing a tweet with information, timelines, which are always posted and always put out, the public opinion is already there.
Could we hear from the two chiefs, because they're the ones who send their first responders? Does the director enjoy your full faith and confidence, Chief?
Yeah. So let me say this, Mark. You know, I know we're a political city, but I'm not a political chief. I tell it like I see it, right? So let's just start there. And anytime we're starting a conversation with not giving a mayoral nominee a fair shot to go before council to defend whatever accusations have been made, I just think that that's a non-starter. That's not fair, and that's not transparent.
So I work with Director Holmes a lot over the 7 years. We meet on a regular basis to work through any things. I think this is the type of relationship that leaders need to have with one another to get to the places where we want everything to be right. I think what we've said is sometimes there have been mistakes. Every agency makes mistakes, and we all strive to get better from them. I'm certainly glad that I got to go through the correct process for my nomination, and I think that Director Holmes should as well.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Director Holmes, can I ask you any response you might have to Billy Shepard, the mother of a woman who did die because she passed, but in the response to that pass, it was found, or her passing, it was found that there were mistakes made in that call. I'm sure you know which I'm talking about here. But so long after, she said she still hadn't heard from 911. She hadn't heard from your office, and I understand you may not have been at the helm at the time, but your office did offer an apology, but even still had not reached out to her directly. She's one of the many people who feels that a change needs to be made. Have you gotten to talk with her? Is there anything you would say to her today? Okay.
So I just want to make sure I heighten that you said there was an apology. I do apologize. I apologize to all families where there's a mistake that's made. What we follow is we follow our general counsel, and when there's times that we have to reach out to families directly for a mistake, that has happened. I have directly reached out to families. If there's a time that we're ever found that we made the mistake that caused the death, of course we will reach out. We don't take this lightly. We're not a callous bunch of individuals that just look over this. We take these very serious. In our audit, it was actually quoted and said that we take every investigation and we investigate them to the fullest. And we have oversight. We have individuals. Our partners at MPD and FEMS, they're involved in these calls too, and so we make sure that happens. And so I have publicly said this. I have said this in writing. I apologize. We are sorry. We understand that this is a very hard thing, but that's what our job is, and we understand that. We get it right the majority of the time. Our complaint rate, our error rate is under 0.001%, literally. And we try and do our best. We are not perfect. We answer every call when it comes into 911, and we are here to safeguard the city, and we will continue to do that.
Mayor Bowser, can I ask you about this event, but addressing the crime in the city? Obviously, juvenile crime is something we've been talking about. I did speak with your director of gun violence prevention before the holiday. She said that you did have a meeting with your different agencies to talk about juvenile crime specifically. How is this going to address that, or what's being looked at, especially as kids get out for the holiday season? Is enforcing the curfew on the table? What is being done to address the issue of juvenile crime?
Well, if you talk to our gun violence prevention director, I'm sure she addressed all of our activities around the city and around our various agencies, including with our federal partners. What we're talking about today is how we're deploying more MPD staff, cadets around the city, around commercial corridors, and very focused on making sure we have a safe holiday season.
Chief, can we ask you about the recruiting process and how that's been now that we know you're recruiting in both Philadelphia and New York City?
Well, we've always recruited around the country. We continue. We are hiring. I think we have a competitive package to offer people who are interested in a career in law enforcement, people who specifically are looking to make a difference in the nation's capital. What better place, what better dynamic city that you can find in this entire country than right here in Washington, D.C. So we're recruiting across the country. We're looking forward to adding people, to continue to add people to the roles. We got 100 of them that'll be out in the streets of the District of Columbia. As soon as I leave here, I'm going to a recruit graduation to send more officers to the streets of the District of Columbia. So we're hiring. I appreciate that plug, but we're hiring.
Yes, ma'am. Some numbers, though? Can you give us some numbers of where the department's at, where it's at? With
so right now, the department, as you know, we stopped hiring for a year. The department is at an all-time low of where we've been over the course of the last couple of decades. Actually, we're at about 3,416 officers, but we continue to hire, we continue to train, we continue to recruit. That's where we are now. I think the package that's been recently passed, where our officers, a collective bargaining agreement was reached, where our officers get a raise. The mayor advocated for us, and we received a $20,000 signing bonus for our officers. We've seen an uptick in interest in our agency. Now we want to get behinds in the seats. That's where we are right now. So we're recruiting, we're hiring, and DC is open for business.
All right, last question.
With Ms. Harley Harper, she was saying that there were talks in the works, but it's just too early to say the plan. Do you have a plan to address juvenile violence? Can we talk about that? We
address juvenile violence every single day, and if we add initiatives or refocus initiatives, we will make that announcement. Okay, you had a question?
My name is Muriel Bowser. I'm a United States War veteran, and I fortunately live up here. My question is, do we have any plans for the veterans, homeless vets, and anything that the city can offer? We don't want to leave nobody behind.
We have a lot of resources for veterans experiencing homelessness. The Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs and our Department of Human Services have deployed, when this goes back to the Obama administration, where many vouchers for veterans were made available to help veterans experiencing homelessness. And we've been able to drive down veteran homelessness in our city very significantly. So if we need anybody, if you want to connect people with us who need help, please start with the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs.
That's a 4. Thank you. Good night. Good morning.
All right. Have a good one. All right. Thank you, everybody.